But yeah, I mean, I think that functionally, like the games earlier, I do think about them in the game dev perspective,
Hmm.
because, well, again, tying up to the modern to the topic that we were gonna talk about, the like how modern games have kind of maybe lost their way, but they simply have not changed that much. The actual building blocks and designs of modern games versus older games maybe have reversed a bit in their
Well,
evolution. They're devolved.
let's pause for 1 second and just understand this for a minute. When you say older games, give me a timeline. Are you talking about games from like the 70s and 80s, the 90s, the 2000s? Like, what are your definition of it hasn't evolved much from older games? Because Wes, not to bring it up, has been there since the beginning, so he's seen it all. So what is your definition of older
Well,
games?
but I mean,
Or it could be a system, like
Okay.
right.
system time period. Like, are we talking Nintendo? Are we talking Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo? Are we talking PlayStation?
I mean, I mostly am talking about like PC, because that's where I could play some, right?
Okay.
But
Okay.
when you look about it, for example, I remember Sokoban. This was a game that my mother used to play. It's a very
Wait a
eight
second.
like
Hang on. Your mother
huh?
was playing games and telling you that there was no value in them and you shouldn't be playing games. Is that what was happening in your household?
You know what happens is that people play. You know how people play games on their phones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but they still say like, oh, games are for like losers. Because they're not thinking that they're playing games. They're just spending time that is idle in games. That's what they do
Hmm.
often, like
Yeah.
a lot of the time. So my father, when he's like hours playing solitaire, he's not playing. He doesn't. There's no value to that
Mm.
time in his mind. He's using that time for, I don't know, thinking about other things, organizing his brain, and just spending time idly, which is not how I imagine how either of you play games, right? How either of us gamers play games. We don't think about it as just like, oh, I'm just gonna die here, like for a while. I'm just gonna let time pass, because a lot of gamers do, like a lot of non gamers do. Just they're just disconnecting.
No,
Is
I'm all about that gameplay, that story. Something's going to draw me to your game, right?
Yeah.
There's something bringing me
Yep.
in, and
But
everybody
anyway,
has different.
Sokoban,
Yeah,
come on, Sokoban. Sokoban was, I don't know if you guys have seen Sokoban.
no.
It's a game
Mm-mm.
where it's basically a labyrinth where you can only push boxes,
Oh,
right? You
it's like
and you
Shove It
have
on the
to
Sega Genesis.
it's probably that game, right?
It's literally pushing boxes around a warehouse. It's a puzzle
And
game.
around yeah, it's a puzzle game, and you have to push them into specific positions.
Hmm.
When
Yeah,
you push all the
yes.
boxes into
It
specific
sounds
positions,
exactly the same. Yep.
it is probably that game. That game has been like copied and evolved into a number of other like games later on. But like I look at those puzzles, and those puzzles are incredibly complex and incredibly well designed, right? I don't see a lot of games today, like with the technology that we have, doing much more interesting puzzle design than that. You know, much like I don't see AI being much smarter than the AI in Warcraft One. Which was brutal. But and that's what I mean. Like in certain, like in the programming side of things, I feel like, or at least in the gameplay programming side of things, I feel like we've stagnated a lot in terms of like um, interesting gameplay uh, defining features.
Right. So like
Because
the creativity function is just stagnant. That's what you're saying for the most part.
I mean, I'm sure that like, no, I don't want to say that because that's very mean. But like, for example, in like a lot of the evolution and of the modern, like what is a modern game today is graphics. It's graphics,
Hmm.
it's sound, it's cinematics, is like the animation capture, the lighting effects.
Let me
But
correct everyone for just 1 second. These people out
mm,
here playing games at 30 frames per second and then bumping up the graphics, you're all wrong. You're living your lives completely wrong. First of all, you need to have 60 frames as a minimum. If you have the option to, at least. I know the new Zelda game's at 30 and it supposedly runs pretty fine. That's great. But if Sony or Xbox is giving you the option to run at 60 frames and you're choosing the graphics over the frames, you're living your life incorrectly.
I mean,
Just so you guys know.
I don't even know. I don't even care about that. I'm not gonna say nothing about that. But the point is that there is a big investment into things that are not doing anything for your game. You know, not anything really. It shines better. It just the light rays go through your visor in more realistic ways. It bounces off your eyelids. I don't know. It's there are things that I get very frustrated looking at, like Digital Foundry, which I understand that some people are nerds for that shit, right? But like when they're like, let's zoom in into this blade of grass, and it's like, ooh, see how well lit that is, that shadow in the blade of grass? Yes, that's what TXAA causes in this game, and that's an incredible implementation. I'm like, who stopped or cared or started playing a game because of how the blade of grass was lit?
Oh,
Like,
to your point, the Nintendo Switch is like way beyond power,
for sure.
and it's
Yeah,
outselling. I mean, I know its sales have declined recently, but it's still like the third best selling system of all time. Are you kidding
yeah,
me? No one can.
yeah.
At the end of the day, the consumers, the people who are paying the money, don't give a crap as long as you have fun and interesting games to play. Which I would argue,
Mhm.
Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. There's no other games like that. You might have games with similar functions like you're talking about, but the level of thought and attention to detail outside of graphics is mostly beyond anything anybody else is doing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know if most is beyond anything, because I do think that in those particular terms in the Nintendo camp, there's a lot of just legacy.
It is, but I do agree with you to that extent. I will agree with you with that with Mario. When Mario Odyssey came out, I was like, this is a good Mario game. This isn't the best Mario game. And everybody's like, this is the greatest Mario game of all time. Like,
Yeah, I
every,
liked it. I didn't love it, but it was a Mario. It's
I'm
one
in the
of those.
same boat. It was a good Mario game. I don't
Yeah,
understand how people think it was the greatest of all time. But everybody has different opinions, right? But that didn't really, that was more like Mario 64 than anything else. But Breath of the
right.
Wild and now Tears of the Kingdom, those two games were very different for Zelda. And, you know,
Yeah,
those have advanced physics engines doing all sorts of stuff, lets people be creative and actually, like you were talking about with your game, kind of break the game to an extent.
mm,
And
yeah,
it doesn't feel like cheap. It feels like, oh, you outsmarted the game. This is your reward. You can complete this task now.
for sure. I mean, there's nothing more frustrating for me than like comparing that to, for example, the latest God of War, which I actually hated. I hated that game. It's a
I
wonderful
haven't
game.
played it, so I
Like
can't.
in
I have
Oh,
nothing to say.
it's a
oh,
wonderful product, right? It's incredibly well made. Do you love it, Wes?
I loved it. Every minute
Right.
of it.
If you loved God of War, and it's not just God of War. I think that it is a lot of the Sony game, which I call the Sony game. It's this big cinematic open world, like a lot of crafting, a lot of options, a lot of many quests, many people, and a lot of companions that will run behind you, and it'll be like, oh, we're getting into the an area where a puzzle might be, so I'm just going to point out what how you should solve this, right?
Dude, I'll
And
give
it's
you that. That shit is annoying, no
and,
doubt.
Okay,
and
yeah, it does happen. It does happen.
sometimes you even see the puzzle and you're like on your way to solve it, and the people will be like, you should try shooting an arrow at that, and I'm like, I know, I'm fucking aiming the arrow. What do you just like, what do you want? And it's like, and yeah, there are things particularly in God of War where I was very frustrated with the fact that I was like, okay, I'm gonna like give myself some time and explore this area, right? And either there'll be an NPC or there'll be something in the story that'll be like,
Mhm.
nope, sorry, you can't right now. And it could be
Yeah.
like, and the funny thing is that like you sometimes walk 3 steps forward, and there'll be a quest giver that'll tell you explore this area now, and I'm like, oh, thank you. Now I'm gonna go back and open the door that was closed for no reason, and it's like, just let me do it. Let me break the game a bit. Let me go and explore the world that you've so lovingly created and crafted. But no, 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 no. In
Uh,
the right order, boys. Don't do it out of order, or Daddy Zeus will be mad. I don't know.
Well, that
I
goes back to the new Zelda games, man. You can go straight to the boss. You can go straight to the
That's
boss. You're
yeah,
probably going to die, but you can go straight to him. I'm
yeah.
sorry, Wes.
No,
What were
that's
you going to
always
say?
cool.
I was just gonna say, God of War was epic. Like the
It's
first one
true.
and Ragnarok. It was storytelling wise, it was
Hang on.
epic.
Don't talk about the end of Ragnarok because I haven't even started it
I'm
yet.
not gonna say a word. I'm just saying it was
Okay.
like they were epic as far as storytelling. Not just the graphics. The gameplay was top notch. But yeah, no, I see your point. But yes, that
Yeah,
does happen.
yeah. It's a lot in the, but like I think that it infects a lot of modern like game sensibilities where they're too scared that players will either not understand or either like lose interest or become stuck at a point. And because of that, I feel like games like, yeah, like Zelda or like Elden Ring, where or Souls in general, have gone very against the grain, kind of giving you the freedoms and the lack of guidance that some people just are looking for, to get lost, to get it, to explore, to just have a, I don't know, role play in the
Mhm.
world,
They
right?
cut some of that stuff out of Horizon, which I was happy about. Like she
That's
kept
true.
saying, "Oh, I can put this, in my satchel for later," or some shit like that. I'm like, "Shut the!" I was like, "I know. You said that 700 times. I've been playing the game for 1 hour. Shut up. Shut
Yeah,
up.
no, they
I
did some.
understand where it goes."
Yeah, they did some improvement in that. Like Horizon had some nice things, but
I
yeah,
loved Horizon.
overall,
Love both of them,
the, both of them. I haven't finished the second one. It was
dude.
too long, too long.
I
I
still
don't.
haven't
Yeah,
played either one yet. So
You're Wes. Horizon
I
is
mean, if
like
you
fantastic,
if
man.
you
Like it really
if,
is.
if you like God of War, I think that there's no like downside to that one because they're similar games in ways.
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you this,
Yeah,
Wes, right now. The combat in Horizon is 10 times better than the combat in God of War. 10 times better.
it's different. I don't know if ten
No,
times better.
Bernardo, come
I
on.
actually. Oh, hey, I did not like the combat in God of War, particularly Ragnarok. I do really love the combat in Horizon. I think that it's fun. I thought that Horizon got a little bit too precious at the end with like, oh, you have to harvest the back tooth of a crocodile rep thing while it's alive. So you have to just slow time and shoot right in like in his mouth on this 2 frames of animation that are just like, okay,
I'll
and
give you that.
you need 5 of those pieces, and I was like, well, that's not going to happen. I'm just not going to have the super cool satchel anymore.
Yeah,
Fine. and
I'll agree with you with
so
that. There was some annoying shit for sure. But
and
overall,
that was,
the combat is fantastic.
yeah, it is really those, yeah, big robots with bow and arrow
Mhm.
is always, it's great. Yes, I do love that.
Everybody says it's good. I just haven't gotten around to playing them yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like if you are in the camp for the God of War, that'll be a
Mhm.
fun time.
Okay.
And stories are fun as well. Yeah.
Yeah, the story actually is very good at the end of Horizon, just so you know. So I don't know if that's going to
Right.
propel you to finish it, but the story is awesome.
I
Okay.
Yeah.
The,
I
the
mean, I want
story
to go
in
back.
Horizon 1 and 2 both get really good at the end. In the middle, you're
Yeah.
kind of like, I don't know what the hell, I don't know. And then you get to the end, you're like, oh
Yeah.
shit, that was actually pretty good. That's going to be your feeling, Wes, on both games.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think there's enough gameplay entertainment for that to cover it up at least. Yeah, at least in one. I did think that 2 was very long. I was going for a while before
Mhm.
anything was happening.
Towards the end, I
Yeah.
stopped
And
doing the side quests as much and just focused on the story. And I got a lot more out of it that way. I was like, shit, dude, I played that game for I think 120 hours. And by like the hour like 90, I was like, all right, I got to just
I
start doing
believe you.
the damn campaign is all I got to do. And then I had a
But
much better experience that way.
but see, that sort of philosophy to me is kind of like that modern thing about games that they've been doing is just really frustrating. Let a game be 15 hours, tell a good story, be done with it, or
I'm
five,
with you on that.
or yeah. It feels like they're so scared of like, oh no, people paid $70 for this, so we need to make it last at least 80 hours, and I'm like, please don't.
Yes.
That's my time.
Yeah. Dude, if a game
I
is like a,
prefer.
a tight 10 hours, that's like the best for me. I'm like, oh my god, this game was 10 hours and it was fantastic. Like, or Journey was like 2 hours and it was like the best 2 hours of my
Yeah,
life. Like, this is fantastic.
exactly. That's what I appreciate in games. Like that same thing that I was saying with Journey. Like the way that they managed to cut out everything that's not important. It feels like these games are adding a lot of things that simply don't add anything. They're just adding it because like it's expected, or it's a certain like committee requirement. But why? Why? That's, yeah, I don't know.
Everything has to
You
be a
say
role playing game.
that's why I'm kind of more excited. Although you did say that you don't like that Assassin's Creed is going back, but I did find I didn't really play much of the Odyssey.
Odyssey
Uh,
is spectacular. Odyssey is the
right,
best thing they've ever done.
I'm
The
sure.
one after
Hmm.
that, I was not. I mean, that was probably one of the least interesting Assassin's Creed, which was Valhalla. I was like 90% out of that game. I tried to finish it,
Right.
and it just kept extending and extending. Every time I thought
Yeah.
it was over, they would add something new, and I was like, I'm done. I was like, I don't know when your goddamn game's gonna end. I don't have all this
Yeah,
time. But
but that's the
Odyssey,
thing, right?
Odyssey was different though. The side quest, everything about Odyssey, I loved. Everything. I was just
Right.
wanted. I would have played that for another 100 hours if I could have.
Right. I guess it went too long for me personally, but I still feel like it's nice for a game like that, which has become the everything game, to kind of go back to roots of like, no, we're making this tight story or gameplay focused game that we want to really tell something meaningful and just be done with it. This is not the huge game that you were used to. This is a game that maybe is the original. Like it's the original image that we had about this game.
I'm sure I'm gonna like Mirage. I'm gonna
Yeah,
hold it up to Odyssey standards, and I know there's gonna
yeah,
be things that I'm disappointed about because of that.
yeah. It's probably going to be completely different. Like if
Yeah,
it's going for the Unity thing, it's going to be completely
yeah.
different. And hopefully good for it. Like I don't know. I'm in for shorter and more varied experiences in ways.
All right. I just want to thank everybody for being here. Wes, thank you for joining us today. Wes, where can people find you if they want to keep up with you, sir?
Again, you can catch me on Instagram at Grendel5XBX or at Level Up Entertainment at the Hamilton Mall.
And Bernardo, what about you, sir? Where can people follow you at?
Yeah, I didn't say none of that.
No, I forgot to mention it earlier, but it's all right. We're going to throw a tag up for back then.
But the best would be in at Raptors Games if they want to follow the development, or at Bernardo Del Cast in Twitter, both. So yeah, I don't really do much in any other social media. So yeah, at
Okay.
Raptors Games.
I'm the same way. Twitter only, at from NJ to CA. The 2 is the number 2. You guys can follow me over there. I want to thank Bernardo once again for joining us today. Again, he does
Me
art,
too.
he does his own game development, so you guys should certainly follow him and his company over there. Please do that. Make sure you guys support us over on Patreon if you could. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. That's all you have to do, and that will get you exclusive content every single month. If you guys support us at the $5 level, you get early ad-free access to a variety of our shows, and we hope that you guys consider supporting us over there. Thank you very
Yep.
much. Until next time, you guys take care.
Have a good
Bye.
one, guys.